Hi friends, today we are going to be talking about the college application process, what my application looked like, the schools I applied to, the results, advice, all sorts of things. We're gonna get started. Okay, so statistically I was a very average student in high school. I took 2 honor classes, I took 3 APs, I took 3 college in the schools classes, which is you're dually enrolled at the University of Minnesota and your high school, so you earn credit at both schools, their college classes. My GPA at the time of application was a 3.0 because COVID hit March of 8th grade, so most of my freshman year we were online. My grades were not good. I had like 1A, bunch of C's, bunch of D's, so it kind of tanked my GPA. So your freshman year of high school does matter. Colleges will look at it, and it sets the tone for your GPA for the rest of high school. My ACT score was also very average. I got a 22. I'm not a very good test taker. I didn't submit that score to any schools except for the University of Iowa and the University of Minnesota. My class rank, again, very average, was a 239 out of 486. As for grades, freshman year, C, D, C+, C, B, A-, like very bad in my opinion. In the 10th grade, I had a very good mix of A's and B's. I had 1 C, semester 1 in biology, and then 11th grade, I had all A's and 2 B's, and then last year I had mostly A's, B, and I got a C in health, which we will not get into. No tea, no shade. So again, very average, once again. As for extracurriculars, I had a lot of extracurriculars on my application. So I had career, I had that I make YouTube videos since October 2022. I had that I've played viola since 2016. I volunteered through a music program. I've been an orchestra librarian, and we traveled to Boston as an orchestra in 2023. I have community service group, history club. I also have community service. I've assisted in several political campaigns in the state of Minnesota. I've also received political advice from President George W. Bush and Secretary Hillary Clinton. Among my collection of political letters, I have received letters of personal thanks and best wishes from former First Lady Michelle Obama and current President Joe Biden. Student government, which included youth in government and Model United Nations. I have speech team, youth activism, which is another different group. Link crew, so that was kind of like leadership, school spirit. And then I have dance, which was more of a hobby than anything, and I don't really dance anymore, or at least as much as I used to. Now, my personal statement, otherwise people will call it your college essay. It's the Common App personal essay. You have a few prompts to choose from. You might be able to submit your own idea. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure you can, but I'm not completely sure. My prompt was discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding for yourself or others. December 25th is my least favorite day of the year. Actually, it's much more than my least favorite day. It's a day I despise. I can't help but feel disgusted when I see Christmas decorations filling stores, hear the jolly music, or anything else related to the holiday. Growing up, I loved it. Ironically, it was my favorite day. My mom died on Christmas morning in 2022 after a long, difficult battle with leiomyosarcoma. I can't find a pulse on Mom, my dad stated without looking at my brother or me. My world stopped. Everything fell silent and cold. You could say I became bitter towards the day, which of course I did, but it's much more than that. For me, losing my mom changed my whole being. It changed the way I do and think about everything. People often say that your parents' death is the hardest one to go through, which I would bet is true. It's just unfortunate that I had to go through it so young. Realizing that I had to grow without her would become a motherless mother was something that changed my brain chemistry. I realized that I needed something to occupy my time, something for me to get my grief out and to explore the feelings that I had never felt before. Thinking back, I remembered that my mom often spent her free time working on hobbies, which included working on an unfinished project, a book. The unpublished memoir was to be about her battle with cancer and depression. She wanted to help others by sharing her story, being honest and realistic. She became terminally ill before being able to finish it, and so my project began, Guardian Angel, a 215-page memoir that would not only share my story, but her story too. I would detail her battle with cancer, her strength, and my battle with mental health and her death. I touched on self-care and love, mental health as a whole, and accepting things that you can't control. And I used some of what she wrote for the introduction. In the beginning, I was highly unsure of how well this project would turn out, or if I would even end up finishing it. It was released in November, my mom's birth month. Guardian Angel's more to me than something I worked on for 9 months. It was my creative outlet during a very difficult and unbalanced time in my life. It was something that I hoped would help people, and I'd like to think that it has. Throughout both of these events, I thought more in depth about death, mental health, and grief especially. Why don't people talk about these things? Because they're uncomfortable? What kind of a way is that to live? If we don't talk about the uncomfortable things and sit in the uncomfortable silence or emotions, we will never grow as a society. This made me understand how my brain works under immense stress and heavy depression, and how grief looks on and affects me. This made me question the very habits I had picked up to trick my brain. Not only did these things make me question myself and others, it made me have more sympathy for and a deeper understanding of others, especially the quiet ones, because I know what they feel and think and why they handle it that way. Not only this, but I saw new sides of people. When are you going to give me a copy? Some would ask. Seriously. It showed me who cares, who pretends to care, and who doesn't at all. The question of, now you don't like Christmas? Why not? Filled my social circles. I quickly realized that many people don't know what this feels like. Not that I would ever want them to. To understand and to try to understand are two very different things. Word count was 648 words, and the limit was 650 words. I think I wrote a good essay. Obviously, it could have been better, but I don't think anything ever in the history of the world has ever been so good that it couldn't have been better, you know? I had two teachers that I trust a lot read over it. My AP World History teacher and my CIS Literature teacher. They gave me feedback, you know, all the things. I do want to quickly add, let's talk about recommendation letters. So I asked my two favorite teachers for recommendation letters. I asked my orchestra teacher, I've known her since 2016. She was the first orchestra teacher I had. I also had her my freshman and sophomore years of high school. And I asked my sophomore year history teacher, because they know me the best, and I think when picking recommendation letters, you should pick someone that knows your strengths, knows your weaknesses, both academically and personally. And for some schools, I did ask a third teacher. I asked my junior year math teacher for a recommendation letter for the same reasons. I thought it would strengthen my application a little bit more. Now let's get into the schools I applied to. This is a long list. So early action is you apply by a certain deadline that is sooner than normal. Usually it's around November, and regular is around January for first year applications. And then you find out early as well. So early action schools I applied to were the University of Minnesota, the University of Iowa, and Harvard. A lot of people have been like, why did you apply to Ivy Leagues? Like, you knew you weren't gonna get in, you know? But you never know. And I'd rather, you know, be sad in the moment and know that I didn't get into these schools that have a 3% acceptance rate than never apply and never try and never know, you know? So I applied. I got deferred from all three, which means I didn't get accepted, I didn't get rejected. They said, we like your application, but we don't like it enough to accept you, so we're gonna put you in the regular pool of applicants. Welcome back, guys. I had to dip, but we're back. So regular decision schools, in my opinion, this is a wide variety of a list. So we have the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Literally the only reason I applied to that school was because I wanted to be near Washington, D.C. So St. Thomas and St. Paul, literally the only reason I applied to that school was because I didn't want the U to be the only school I was applying to in Minnesota. American University and George Washington University are both in DC. However, George Washington University has been on my list for a very long time. NYU, Brown, Columbia, Yale, Dartmouth, you know. So I ended up getting rejected from all of those schools. I ended up getting late acceptances to the U, as we know, and to the University of Iowa. And after Ivy Day, I applied to the University of Massachusetts, Boston, the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and the University of San Francisco. I got accepted to all three of those schools. And I got a lot of direct acceptances. If you know what that is, it's like your guaranteed admission. It's a lot of like random schools. That's the nicest way I can put it. So let's talk about cost, which was a big deciding factor for me. And I know it's a big factor for a lot of students, and student loans are insane. Costs are the highest they've ever been, I think. So one of the reasons that I chose the U was because of cost. In-state tuition is much lower than out-of-state tuition for a lot of schools, including the U, and Minnesota has Star Promise, which means if your family income is under $80,000 a year, what the school doesn't cover of your tuition, the rest is paid by the state. There were a few schools I was looking at that I got direct acceptances to out east and in California, and the University of Iowa, all of which were so insanely expensive. I cannot begin to tell you how expensive. The University of Iowa, if I'm remembering correctly, was $40,000 a year. That was my estimated price. They gave me absolutely no financial aid. And I don't know about you, but I don't really want to pay $40,000 a year to live in Iowa, you know? Another reason that I chose the U was because I got into the President's Emerging Scholars Program, which is basically for students who are not exactly rich and students that have overcome difficulties within K through 12. As for advice, now I'm 2 weeks into the U, so I can't speak very much on the U yet. I'm sure I will make another one of these videos down the line. But like I said previously, freshman year does matter. I cannot stress that enough. It does matter. You need to try. And you need to make good connections with the people in your school, especially teachers. Especially teachers. People talk, and teachers are the ones that are giving you recommendation letters. They're the ones that are in the room when you apply for a leadership position or whatever it may be at your school, and you want them to be able to say good things about you. And I think also having a good relationship with your teachers just makes school better. You know, like, it makes it easier if the communication is there, if the trust is there, if the relationship is there. Now, I'm not saying go hook up with your teachers, okay? I mean solely like student-teacher relationship. Just putting it out there. When you're applying to schools, the college application process is so intense. You have to do the FAFSA, and you have to do all these things, all these essays. You have to write out all this stuff, and you put your heart and soul into this application, and you get a rejection, and you feel devastated. But at the end of the day, it's not personal, you know? Like, I was devastated when I got rejected from Columbia. Columbia was my dream school. But Columbia has a 3% acceptance rate. Like, you have to be damn near perfect to get into any Ivy League school. So it's not personal, you know? Like, it is what it is. And if you got rejected, it just meant that you're not supposed to be there at this point in time. And if you really want to go to that school, do amazing in college and go to grad school there or transfer there. And ask for help. Whether it's in middle school, high school, college. If you need help, ask for it. Like, you're not gonna look stupid for asking for help. Like, I felt that a lot with like math and science teachers. Like, if I wasn't understanding something, I felt like they were gonna judge me for not knowing it. Like, it's their job to help you understand it. So ask for the help. And also, if you need help personally, like mentally, there are resources available. Go see a therapist, meet with the school social worker or the school counselor, or there's so many things. And again, if you have a relationship with your teachers, that's also another door. And I'm not saying like go to your teachers like they're your therapist. Like, no, absolutely not. But that does give you more people to be on your team and to be there for you at the end of the day. And as we're talking about mental health, prioritize yourself. You need to make time for yourself. High school is very stressful. You need to maintain personal time and protecting and prioritizing your mental health and your self-care and your self-love. And it can be really hard to do that when you have a million assignments and a million things with your extracurriculars, and if you have a job or like family related things that you need to do, it can be really hard, but you need to make the time to do that for yourself. Social media is fake. Point blank. Do not be comparing yourself to all these popular girls at your school that are posting on social media that have 1,000 followers. That's not worth it, babe. They could be crying in their room depressed while they're posting pictures of them smiling with their friends at the lake. And I'm not here to diss anyone. I'm just telling you, don't compare yourself to them, because social media is fake. It can be edited and it's portrayed in a certain way. You have no idea what is really going on with people unless you know them. And also, popularity does not matter when you get to college. No one gives a fuck. I was popular in high school. Cool, you peaked in high school. Like, we're all here for a reason. We all got into the same school. You are not better than anyone here. Period. And also, at the end of the day, it matters where you go to college, but it doesn't at the same time. It's not gonna be devastating if you don't go to an Ivy League. If you do, amazing. I'm so proud of you. You worked so hard. But you have a college degree. At the end of the day, that's more than a lot of people have, and it will look good to jobs. And especially if you work hard, it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Names are names. That's really about it. Speaking of names, Ivy Leagues aren't all that. And I'm not trying to be like bitter that I didn't get in, because it's 3%. Like, so many people applied and so many people got rejected from those schools. But the reason that those schools are so highly respected and so like crazy hard to get into is because there were amazing inventors and visionaries and philosophers and politicians that went to these schools that made them amazing. They're not amazing on their own. They're amazing because of the people who studied there and who made the world better, that the college takes credit for that. Harvard classes are the same as classes at any other well-respected school. Education is education. Last 2 points, I think. Get sleep. You will, especially in high school, you have a growing body. We all know this. Also, wear deodorant, take showers. You might not be able to smell it, but everyone else can. Okay, wear your deodorant. But yeah, you need to get sleep. If you don't sleep, you're not gonna be able to focus in class. You're gonna be falling asleep. You're gonna be all these things. You're not gonna get good grades. You're not gonna do good work. Your mental health is going to suffer. It's just not good. Like, make sure you are getting good, lengthy amount of sleep every night, especially before big tests, which I think they kind of like drilled that into our heads with the MCAs. And I mean, finally, I already kind of said this, but rejection's not personal. It's simply redirection. If you, what's the saying? The door closes, another one opens. There's a world of possibilities out there, and it's up to you to take those possibilities and make them what you want to make them. You can go to the University of Iowa and have as good of a life as someone that went to Harvard. It's up to you to make that life and to follow your dreams. So, with that being said, I'm sending good luck to everyone who's applying this year. You're gonna need it. It's a very crazy process. Put effort into your applications. Don't just throw some in there. Like, make sure it's good. Work with some teachers if you need to. And make sure you research schools. Don't just pick Yale because it's Yale. Pick schools that are going to work well with who you are as a person and what you want to do with your career. And schools that share the same values as you. And I don't mean that politically. I mean that, like, if you value your mental health, which you should, make sure you choose a school that does that. Don't pick a school that's gonna be like, oh, you still need to get this work done, you still need to, do what is best for you, follow your dreams. You got this. I believe in you. Peace.